Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News, India's voice to the world. I'm Tanvi Taneja, coming up in the next hour. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi arrives in Ghana on first leg of his five-nation visit. President of Ghana receives Prime Minister Modi at the airport in capital Accra. Quad condemns all acts of terrorism and violent extremism in all its forms, calls for action against perpetrators of Pahalgam terror attack without any delay. Iran ends cooperation with International Atomic Energy Agency IAEA after Israel, US strikes on its nuclear sites, accuses the UN nuclear watchdog of siding with the West. And Tibetan spiritual leader, the 14th Dalai Lama, says he will be reincarnated, his trust to choose successor. Garden Fodrang Trust says nationality of the next Dalai Lama will not be restricted to Tibet. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has reached Ghana, the first leg of his five-nation tour. President of Ghana, John Mahama, received Prime Minister Narendra Modi at the airport, where he was also accorded a traditional welcome. Prime Minister Modi was also given a guard of honour, along with a 21-gun salute. President of Ghana, John Mahama, welcomed Prime Minister Narendra Modi on his first ever bilateral visit to the nation. Ghana is a key partner in India's growing engagement as South-South cooperation takes centre stage. Further, as Prime Minister Narendra Modi reached at the hotel in Accra, thousands gathered to catch a glimpse of him. A community of 15,000 in Ghana, the Indian diaspora, gave a grand welcome to Prime Minister Narendra Modi. India opened its representative office in Accra in 1953 prior to Ghana's independence and established full-fledged diplomatic relations with Ghana in 1957, immediately after it gained independence from Britain. India is among the top trading partners of Ghana. DD India's Tapas Bhattacharya tells us more.
India and Ghana share a vibrant and growing partnership rooted in development, cooperation and mutual progress. Through concessional lines of credit and grants, India has extended support worth nearly $450 million to Ghana for key infrastructure and capacity building projects. Among the notable contribution, India provided a $1 million grant to upgrade the Kofi Annan ICT Center in 2016 and another $1 million to rehabilitate the Jubilee House Presidential Complex in 2017. Capacity building remains a strong pillar of bilateral ties. Under various scholarship schemes, hundreds of Ghanaians have benefited from world-class education and training opportunities in India. As part of the Pan-African E-Vidya Bharati and E-Arogya Bharati initiative, India set up a state-of-the-art learning center at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology in Kumasi, providing high-quality tele-education and telemedicine services. Ghana was the first country to roll out the project in 2020 and over 1,600 scholarships have since been awarded. India stood by Ghana during the pandemic too, supplying over 1.6 million vaccines more through the COVAX initiative. On the trade front, India is among Ghana's top partners and the largest buyer of its gold. Ghana's export to India also includes cocoa, cashew nuts and timber. Indian companies have invested in 820 projects worth $1.92 billion since 1994, making India one of the top investors in Ghana. From infrastructure to education, from pharmaceuticals to agribusiness, India's footprint in Ghana reflects a true spirit of South-South cooperation. India and Ghana partners in progress, building shared future. With camera person Rakesh and More Mukut, along with my engineer Saurav, this is Tapush Bhattacharya reporting for DD India from Ghana.
A quick word about Ghana. The country is situated on the coast of the Gulf of Guinea in Western Africa. Although relatively small in area and population, Ghana is one of the leading countries of Africa, partly because of its considerable natural wealth and partly because it was the first black African country south of the Sahara to achieve independence from colonial rule. Modern-day Ghana, which gained its independence on 6th March 1957, consists primarily of the former Gold Coast.
Ghana, the first sub-Saharan African nation to gain independence, has long been a beacon of stability and progress in West Africa. Formerly known as the Gold Coast, it broke free from British colonial rule in 1957, inspiring liberation movement across Africa. Now, when we look at Ghana, with gold, cocoa and now oil driving its economy, Ghana has actually transformed into one of the region's most dynamic nations. The country takes its name from the ancient Ghana Empire, a medieval trading powerhouse once upon a time. Its modern history is rich and complex, from the rise of the mighty Ashanti Kingdom in the 1700s to the British colonization and multiple Anglo-Ashanti wars. Independence came in 1957, led by Kwame Nkrumah, who helped found the non-alignment movement as well. Though Ghana faced political turbulence in the following decades, democratic stability returned in 1992 with the new constitution and multi-party election. Today, Ghana stands tall, a democratic nation with a booming youth population, thriving cultural heritage, and growing global presence. The capital is Accra. The population is 32.1 million, and the languages, well, apart from English, there are 11 more local languages that's there. Ghana's journey is one of resilience, pride and promise. With camera person Rakesh and More Mukut Sharma, along with my engineer Saurav, this is Tapush Bhattacharya for DD India from Ghana.
From Africa to Asia now. Iran on Wednesday suspended its cooperation with the United Nations nuclear watchdog, with President Masoud Pezeshkian signing a law passed by Parliament last week to suspend cooperation with the International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA. The law requires any future IAEA inspections of Iranian nuclear sites to be approved by Tehran's Supreme National Security Council. Iran accuses the IAEA of siding with the Western countries. It also accuses IAEA of remaining silent on recent Israeli and US attacks on Iranian nuclear sites. The nuclear watchdog said that it was aware of the reports and was awaiting further official information from Iran. Earlier, Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi acknowledged serious damage to its key Fordow nuclear site in US strikes. The U.S. House of Representatives is debating U.S. President Donald Trump's key spending bill, which he often calls one big beautiful bill. It was cleared by the Senate after a marathon 27-hour session. The bill aims to deliver on several of Trump's bold promises, like increased spending on border enforcement. A report.
After an intensive session lasting 27 hours, the US Senate narrowly passed President Donald Trump's big, beautiful bill. Vice President J.D. Vance cast the tie-breaking ballot to secure its passage, after the vote ended in a 51-50 split. The tax cut and spending bill now returns to the House of Representatives as Republicans try to overcome internal divisions and meet Trump's self-imposed July 4th deadline. The 887-page package was approved only after several amendments, including setting aside more money for rural hospitals. Republicans control the House by a 220-212 margin. If the House makes any changes to the bill, it would head back to the Senate for approval. The bill delivers on many of Trump's campaign promises, like increased spending on the military and border enforcement and a $4.5 trillion extension of his first-term tax cuts. Opposition to the bill stems from concerns that it could add an extra $3.3 trillion debt over a decade. The version of the bill passed by the Senate would add more to the debt than the version first passed by the House in May and also includes more than $900 million in cuts to the Medicaid program for low income Americans. Analysts warn that 17 million recipients would lose their health insurance. The bill also sparked a feud between Trump and the world's richest person, Elon Musk, who has been fiercely opposed to it, saying that it would destroy industries. Bureau Report, DD India.
And now let's take you back to Ghana, where Prime Minister Narendra Modi has landed a short while ago. Let's listen to what the Indian diaspora has to say.
One of the most friendliest and peaceful country, which is called Ghana.
The long wait was worth it, and finally we got to see, and my daughter just wave hand and just greet him, and it was very nice meeting him.
I am so happy that Honorable Prime Minister from India came, Shri Modi.
Modi ji, wonderful, is the avatar of India now. He's the real avatar, he's the man of action.
I was so happy when I saw him in person, and then it was a very great experience. बहुत अच्छा लगा.
Happy to see Modi ji here. We are welcoming him. Accra in Ghana, and I'm Saravanan here. Thank you so much. Vanakkam.
आज हमें मोदी जी से मिलकर बहुत अच्छा लगा. वो इतने हम्बल है कि उन्होंने गाड़ी रोककर और दोनों साइड पे जितनी पब्लिक थी उनसे पर्सनली मीट किया. As he's so humble, we are proud of him. Long live Modi. Long live India.
मोदी जी का स्वागत है. ये हमारे लिए बहुत सौभाग्य की बात है कि हमको मोदी जी की झलक देखने को मिली आज.
बहुत अच्छा लगा उनसे मिलके. मेरी पूरी फैमिली यहाँ पे है, उनसे मिली.
It's a proud moment for all of us to see Mr. Modi to be here in Ghana and welcome.
So that was the vibrant Indian diaspora members in Accra, the capital of Ghana, where Prime Minister Narendra Modi is at the moment. He will start his engagements for the day. Of course, President of Ghana, Mr. John Mahama, received him at the airport. So a lot is lined up for the day. We'll keep getting you updates as we get it from Ghana, Accra. Still to come on DD India News Hour. Is the battle for Donald Trump's spending and tax cut bill over? As Republicans remain divided on the bill as it returns to the US House. Donald Trump urges Hamas to accept the final proposal for a 60-day Gaza ceasefire. And Ukraine left scrambling after US says it is halting some arms shipments to Ukraine. Moscow revels in the decision, saying it could bring the end of the conflict closer.
Jharkhand will mesmerize you with majestic nature, rich heritage and colorful culture.
Johar. Johar. It fits perfectly.
Thank you.
Full workout हो गया.
Ready?
Postcards from Jharkhand on National Geographic.
Welcome back. You are watching DD India News Hour. I am Tanvi Taneja. US President Donald Trump has said that Israel agreed on terms for a 60-day ceasefire in Gaza and warned Hamas to accept the deal before conditions worsen. Trump's announcement raised hopes for a temporary halt to the ongoing conflict. Trump's declaration comes amid rising international pressure to bring an end to the Israel-Hamas conflict, which has resulted in thousands of casualties in the region. More in our next report.
In a potential breakthrough in an ongoing conflict between Israel and Hamas, US President Donald Trump urged Hamas to agree on a ceasefire proposal for 60 days. Trump said that Israel had accepted the key terms of a proposed 60-day ceasefire in Gaza. In a statement posted on Truth Social, US President Donald Trump said, and I quote, "My representatives had a long and productive meeting with the Israelis today in Gaza. Israel has agreed to do the necessary conditions to finalize the 60-day ceasefire, during which time we will work with all parties to end the war. The Qataris and Egyptians, who have worked very hard to help bring peace, will deliver this final proposal. I hope for the good of the Middle East that Hamas takes the deal, because it will no longer get better, it will only get worse. There was no immediate comment from Israeli officials on Trump's post. However, responding to Trump's statement, Hamas said that it is ready for a ceasefire, but it must put an end to war in Gaza. Trump's announcement came after Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's scheduled visit to White House on July 7. The president's declaration comes amid rising international pressure to bring an end to the Israeli-Hamas conflict, which has resulted in thousands of casualties and humanitarian destruction in the region.
He wants it to. He's coming here next week. He wants to end it too. We had a tremendous success with Iran. They weren't happy. Somebody said, when are you going to sign? I said, sign? They are so bombed out. Did you see the report issued this morning? The place was decimated. It'll be years before anybody even gets down there. So that's not a priority, but we'll have a report and we'll have whatever we want. We'll get from whatever we want from Iran. And I think, and I hope they will have a good country. You know, they have massive sanctions right now, biting sanctions. It's going to be very hard for them to do anything with those sanctions. And
strike a deal.
Well, he wants to. I can tell you he wants to. And I think we'll have it. I think we'll have a deal next week.
The end of Israel's 12-day war with Iran has also provided a window of opportunity for the ceasefire deal. Once again, Donald Trump is keen to add another peace agreement to a series of recent deals that he has brokered. Hamas delegation is expected to meet with the Egyptian and the Qatari mediators in Cairo to discuss the proposal. Throughout the nearly 21-month-long war, ceasefire talks between Israel and Hamas have repeatedly faltered over whether the conflict should end as part of any deal. Meanwhile, Israeli military captured a terrorist cell operated by Iran in an operation in southern Syria. The military said that several terrorists were apprehended in the operation, while the Houthi rebels group had launched a missile from Yemen towards Israeli territory on Tuesday. Bureau Report, DD India.
Kremlin today said that Russian President Vladimir Putin and French President Emmanuel Macron had a very substantive conversation on phone about Iran-Israel conflict and Ukraine. This was the first such exchange between the two men since September 2022. French President Emmanuel Macron urged his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin to agree to a ceasefire in Ukraine, though the Russian leader blamed West for the conflict. Putin also said that any peace deal should be comprehensive and long-term, provide for the elimination of the root causes of the Ukrainian crisis, and be based on new territorial realities. So Kremlin on Wednesday welcomed the news that the United States has halted some weapons deliveries to Ukraine, saying that if fewer arms are shipped to Kiev, it will sooner end the conflict. The Pentagon has halted some shipments of air defense missiles and other precision munitions to Ukraine over concerns that US stockpiles are too low. Two people familiar with the matter told Reuters on Tuesday. A senior Ukrainian lawmaker called Washington's decision painful for Kiev's efforts to defend against Russian airstrikes, which have intensified in recent weeks. President Donald Trump said on Tuesday he was not thinking of extending the July 9th deadline for countries to negotiate trade deals with the United States, and continued to express doubt that an agreement could be reached with Japan. Trump suggested that he could impose a tariff of 30 or 35% on imports from Japan, well above the 24% tariff rate he announced on April 2nd and then later paused. The Trump administration plans to prioritize securing trade deals with countries, including India, ahead of Japan, in the days leading up to a July 9th deadline when higher US tariffs take effect.
I think we're going to have a deal with India, possibly, and that's going to be a different kind of a deal. It's going to be a deal where we're able to go in and compete. Right now, India doesn't accept anybody in. I think India is going to do that, and if they do that, we're going to have a deal for much less tariffs. Thank you for telling me, by the way.
On to Australia now. A cyber hacker broke into a database of Australian airline Qantas containing the personal information of millions of customers. This is Australia's biggest security breach in years and a setback for an airline rebuilding trust after a reputational crisis. Well, it adds to a troubling list of recent cyber incidents in Australia. A report. In one of the biggest cyber attacks in Australia in recent years, airline giant Qantas has confirmed a major data breach that has compromised the personal information of millions of its customers. The company revealed in a statement on Wednesday that a hacker gained access to a third-party customer service platform used by one of its call centers, exposing sensitive data belonging to around 6 million customers. The compromised information includes names, email addresses, phone numbers, birth dates, and frequent flyer numbers. However, Qantas clarified that no credit card or passport information was stored on the affected platform. The airline said it became aware of the breach after detecting unusual activity on the system and acted swiftly to contain it. While Qantas has not disclosed the location of the impacted call center or the specific group of affected customers, it acknowledged that the volume of stolen data is expected to be significant. In a public apology, Qantas Group CEO Vanessa Hudson expressed regret over the incident, acknowledging the uncertainty it has caused and pledging to directly contact customers and provide them with support. Cybersecurity experts have warned that the exposed data could be used for identity theft or sold on the dark web. This latest breach adds to a troubling list of cyber incidents in Australia, including major attacks on telecom provider Optus, private health insurer Medibank, and ports operator DP World. Qantas was found to have illegally sacked thousands of ground workers during the 2020 border closure while collecting government stimulus payments. It also admitted selling thousands of tickets for already cancelled flights. Qantas itself faced a separate privacy issue last year when a mobile app glitch exposed passenger names and travel details. The airline has notified Australia's National Cybersecurity Coordinator and continues to investigate the breach. So far, no hacking group has claimed responsibility. Bureau Report, DD India. Strengthening cultural and educational ties between India and Sri Lanka, Colombo's General Sir John Kotalawala Defence University launched a Hindi language learning program in collaboration with Swami Vivekananda Cultural Centre, the cultural wing of the Indian High Commission. The program was jointly inaugurated by the Indian High Commissioner Santosh Jha and KDU Vice Chancellor Rear Admiral Damika Kumara. The elective course opens to military and civilian students. It will focus on basic language skills and cultural nuances. Highlighting Hindi's global reach and cultural significance, both sides underlined how Hindi music further deepens India-Sri Lanka ties.
Hindi is largely spoken north of India as in India, which means the east, west and the north. And every part of India has a slightly different form of Hindi. The intonations, of course, are different, but sometimes even the words are different because the local influence, the dialects, some of the local languages, like my own mother tongue, which is Maithili, spoken in northeastern Bihar, south of Nepal.
India's Minister for Steel, Heavy Industries and Public Enterprises, H.D. Kumaraswamy, inaugurated the Steel Authority of India Limited SAIL representative office at Lake Central Business Bay in Dubai. The event marked a fresh boost to India-UAE ties and business avenues for the country's largest steel producer. The event saw the presence of Consul General Satish Kumar Sivan and SAIL CMD Amrendu Prakash. The new Dubai office is expected to enhance SAIL's global reach and deepen economic cooperation between India and the UAE.
Business relationship will going to be extend here. The 3 offices what we inaugurated from last 2 days. we wanted to strengthen our three CPSEs using the Prime Minister's attachment towards UAE. Almost all our Prime Minister last 3-4 years, 4 times he visited here. Atmosphere here to do the business. Very good opportunities are there.
Minister H.D. Kumaraswamy also addressed members of the Indian Business and Professional Council in Dubai, highlighting opportunities to deepen economic ties and explore new avenues of cooperation between India and the UAE.
India is well positioned and committed to being a reliable, long-term partner in supplying high-quality, value-added steel to support the UAE's ambitious infrastructure, smart city initiatives, and industrial development projects. Under the India-UAE CEPA, we can further ease trade flows, enhance logistic efficiency, and jointly promote a resilient steel supply chain between our nations.
And now let's go back to our top story. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has arrived in Ghana to start his 5-nation visit. He is there in Accra, where members of the Indian diaspora who welcomed him at the hotel said that it was a great honor to meet him.
We are so excited to meet him, and he's so kind and give us a time to shake his hands with him without leaving for his protocols. But we are very proud to have you in Ghana.
We are very happy and very heartwarming from inside. No words to speak that we got a chance to meet with Mr. Narendra Modi ji, Prime Minister of India.
We are really happy to see Prime Minister here, and we never had a chance to meet him in India, but at least we are seeing him here in person. We shook his hand, so we are really grateful.
It's a great honor for the Prime Minister to visit us in Ghana. We've been living all our lives here. Him shaking my hand today, it's an honor for me. I might not wash my hand for a week going forward. I love you, Modi ji. I love you, India.
So during the 2-day visit in Ghana, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is expected to have several high-level engagements with the President Mahama, and of course also oversee the signing of key agreements. We will keep telling you as and when these latest updates come in from Accra. You're watching the India News Hour, still to come on the show. Dalai Lama speaks ahead of his 90th birthday on July 6th, announces his official succession plan. His trust will find his reincarnation. An expert take on the Quad foreign ministers' collective condemnation of the Pahalgam terrorist attack. And a J&K woman earns 1.5 lakh rupees through mango cultivation. We will tell you more about her success story.
Jharkhand will mesmerize you with majestic nature, rich heritage and colorful culture.
Johar. अरे it fits perfectly.
Thank you.
Full workout हो गया.
Ready?
Postcards from Jharkhand on National Geographic.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I am Tanvi Taneja. The foreign ministers of the Quad nations, India, the United States, Australia and Japan, convened in Washington, D.C. to address regional security, advance economic cooperation and reiterate their commitment to a free and open Indo-Pacific. The meeting included a joint condemnation of the recent terrorist attack in Pahalgam, India, and confirming India as the host for the upcoming Quad Leaders Summit this year. Our next report tells you more.
The ministers collectively condemned terrorist attack in Pahalgam in Jammu and Kashmir, which resulted in the deaths of 25 Indian nationals and 1 Nepali citizen. Their joint statement called for perpetrators, organizers and financiers of this incident to be brought to justice. A thinly veiled reference to Pakistan and its sponsoring of cross-border terrorism. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar emphasized the need for a decisive global response to terrorism.
The world must display zero tolerance. Victims and perpetrators must never be equated. And India has every right to defend its people against terrorism, and we will exercise that right. We expect our Quad partners to understand and appreciate that.
U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio highlighted the focus on actionable outcomes.
These are very important countries. These are very important strategic partners and allies of the United States. And together we have a lot of shared priorities, a lot of things we care about in the world.
The summit also saw the launch of several initiatives aimed at enhancing economic and strategic resilience. These included the Quad Critical Minerals Initiative, designed to diversify critical minerals supply chains.
And there are many topics that we can work on and focus on. One that I've personally been very focused on is diversifying the global supply chain of critical minerals, not just access to the raw material, but also access to the ability to process and refine it to usable material.
Australian Foreign Minister Penny Wong also called for collective strength for peace, for stability, for prosperity.
And unfortunately, we meet against the backdrop of conflict and of escalating competition. So it has never been more important for us to harness our collective strength for peace, for stability, for prosperity in the Indo-Pacific and for all our peoples.
Japanese Foreign Minister Takeshi Iwaya held bilateral discussions with Dr. S. Jaishankar, reinforcing a shared dedication to a free and open Indo-Pacific and a rules-based order.
Peace and stability are essential for the prosperity of the international community. The role of the four countries is very important for the peace and stability of the Indo-Pacific region.
India is set to host the next Quad Leaders Summit later this year. This upcoming gathering is expected to further advance the Quad's agenda, which encompasses maritime and transnational security, economic prosperity and security, critical and emerging technology, and humanitarian assistance and emergency response. Bureau Report, DD India.
And we are now joined by Meera Shankar, former Indian ambassador to the USA. Thank you, ma'am, for being with us on DD India News Hour. Could you shed some light on the special geopolitical situation which gave this Quad foreign ministers meeting added significance?
I think that the Quad meeting took place at a time when there is considerable instability in the world and conflict. You know, the conflict between Israel and Iran has just halted after fairly devastating exchanges and launches of jet fighters and missiles. The conflict in Gaza is still going on, in Ukraine is still going on, and there is a new US administration which is looking anew at many US policies and initiatives. So though one meeting was held along with President Trump's inaugural, that was a brief meeting, but this meeting gives the signal that the Quad will continue to be of importance to the US, and that the initiatives which were launched previously under the Quad will be carried forward. The discussions focused on maritime and transnational security, economic prosperity and security, critical and emerging technologies, and humanitarian assistance and disaster relief. These are the four areas which were given special attention and where the activities of the Quad will be carried forward. They also launched a critical minerals, Quad Critical Minerals Initiative, which will look at diversifying supply chains, which will be reliable and where there will be less dominance by any one country, so that these supplies cannot be constricted, because all the countries have felt the Chinese pressure. India, for instance, is being deprived of rare earth magnets, which are required for EVs, electric vehicles, and discussions are going on with the Chinese government on this. The US was squeezed on supply of rare earths, where China has a kind of monopoly at present during the negotiations. And so these are issues which impact the economic prosperity of all countries. And therefore, this is something which is mentioned in the Quad statement, so that no one country can constrict supplies arbitrarily.
Okay. The joint statement from the Quad foreign ministers meeting condemned in the strongest terms the dastardly terrorist attack in Pahalgam. Your reaction to that?
I think it's good that they did. And the foreign minister had also stated his expectation that there would be a Quad condemnation of terrorism and that there should be zero tolerance for terrorism. He had also articulated that India has the right to defend its people from the hostile activities of terrorists, and that it will do so in future. So the fact that this joint condemnation by Quad of the Pahalgam incident is included in the statement is a good thing, because it reinforces that there can be no selective approach to terrorism. And so I think that's something to be welcomed.
Okay, India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar, speaking at the Quad meeting, emphasized the need for a decisive global response to terrorism. What are the impediments to such a decisive global response to terror?
I think the main impediment is that there's no commonly and universally accepted norms of what defines terrorism. And there are many countries who say, freedom fighters cannot be equated with terrorists. But the point is that you have to look at acts of violence going outside the rule of law as hostile activities, irrespective of what the political circumstances are. And that is what India's stance has been. It's been trying to get a comprehensive global convention on terrorism. But these differences have held up the finalization of such a convention.
Okay, as the Australian Foreign Minister Penny Wong pointed out at the Quad meeting, that the meet was held against the backdrop of conflict and of escalating competition. Could you shed some light on the why of and the reasons for this escalating competition? And can this competition be given a positive orientation?
Well, the escalating competition is primarily between the US and China. It has different dimensions. It has a security dimension, it has an economic dimension, and it has a technological dimension, because the two countries are competing for supremacy in this region, in the Indo-Pacific region, and of course across the world, in all these areas, but concentrated in the Indo-Pacific. So the impact of that sharpening competition is being felt across the world. And of course, China has also created excess economic production capacities, which it doesn't absorb in its own market. And now countries are beginning to look at choking such subsidized exports, which is harming their economies, shifting jobs elsewhere, and actually resulting in unfair trade. So this has been the US focus. Of course, President Trump's focus has also been that all countries are free riders on the US, and they should open their economies, otherwise I will impose tariffs. So I think that has also unsettled the global economic system, because so many trade negotiations are currently going on with the US. I mean, the US has reached only one agreement, minor agreement with the UK, which is a framework agreement on trade. But with China, it has put in place a temporary agreement, which will be there for 90 days. And if they fail to reach a final agreement in those 90 days, then the punitive tariffs which were imposed of nearly 145% will come back. In the temporary agreement, it's 35% tariffs, which will be imposed on Chinese imports into the US, and China will impose 10% tariffs on the US exports to China. But this is a temporary 90-day arrangement with India, with the EU, with Japan, with Vietnam. I think negotiations are still going on with Canada, with Mexico. The US is still engaged in negotiations. And so there's an element of uncertainty which has come into the global environment.
Okay. Each edition of Quad has witnessed the introduction of a more critical nuance against Beijing. So how do you see the evolution of Quad grouping in that context?
Well, the Quad is committed to a free and open Indo-Pacific and to preserving the rule of law, and international law in particular. And it doesn't support and it actively opposes also any actions going outside the boundaries of the law of the sea convention and international law, such as unilateral action on maritime disputes, which has been happening in the South and East China Sea. The Quad also emphasized the importance of respecting the territorial and integrity and sovereignty of countries in the region. So I think that the Quad has has expressed its opposition to such behavior, particularly by China.
Okay. We leave it here. Thank you very much, Meera Shankarji, for being with us and shedding great analysis on the evolution of Quad, so to say. Thank you for being with us. Moving on now, exiled Tibetan leader Dalai Lama has announced his succession plan, in which he said that the 600-year-old institution will continue after his death. He said that the responsibility for identifying the 15th Dalai Lama will rest exclusively with the Garden Phodrong Trust, which he founded. He is the 14th reincarnation of the Dalai Lama, and his statement was released ahead of his 90th birthday on July 6th. He was speaking during the 15th Tibetan Religious Conference. Though Dalai Lama was not physically present at the conference, but attendees watched him deliver his video statement. This decision will have profound impact on his Buddhist followers. It ended years of waiting by followers of the Tibetan Buddhist spiritual leader for details about his succession. The senior Tibetan official of the Garden Phodrong Trust said that the nationality of Dalai Lama's successor would not be restricted to Tibet. On Wednesday, spiritual head of Tibetan Buddhism, Dalai Lama, confirmed that he will have a successor chosen in accordance with the past tradition, ended years of speculation about the centuries-old tradition. Tibetan tradition holds that the soul of a senior Buddhist monk is reincarnated in the body of a child upon his death.
There is no traditional kind of restriction. Dalai Lama should born in Tibet. Dalai Lama born in Mongolia, the third one, and Dalai Lama born, if today in India, the sixth Dalai Lama, and there's no nationality or geographical boundary.
India's Ministry of Information and Broadcasting has promised to extend all possible support to further expand and preserve India's rich film heritage. Secretary Information and Broadcasting Sanjay Jaju on Wednesday visited the Pune-based Film and Television Institutes, reviewing various ongoing activities. The Secretary spoke about the contribution of the National Film Development Corporation and the Film and Television Institute of India to the film sector, calling it invaluable. In a remarkable success story under the Holistic Agriculture Development Program, Anita Kumari, a resident of Riyasi district in Jammu and Kashmir, has earned 1.5 lakh rupees through the cultivation of mango trees. This showcases the positive impact of enhanced green cover and sustainable horticulture practices in India's Northern Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. From devastating wildfires in Spain to cyclones battering Australia, the planet is facing extreme weather on nearly every continent. Floods, heat waves and hurricanes are highlighting the growing intensity and unpredictability of global climate events. In India, severe monsoon rains triggered flash floods and rising river levels across northern and central states. In Himachal Pradesh, the Beas River swelled dangerously, prompting a red alert for flash floods and landslides. Meanwhile, in Madhya Pradesh, heavy downpours caused widespread waterlogging, paralyzing traffic. The India Meteorological Department warns of continued showers and storms in the coming days. A wild storm system dubbed a bomb cyclone battered Sydney for the second straight day, grounding more than 55 flights, uprooting trees and cutting power to over 35,000 homes. Meteorologists warn the system, intensifying off the eastern seaboard, could head towards New Zealand by Thursday. Torrential rains forced the cancellation of more than 50 domestic flights and caused widespread travel chaos. In Europe, Spain's Catalonia region is reeling from a deadly wildfire that claimed 2 lives and scorched a 40-kilometer stretch of farmland. Emergency services described the blaze as extremely violent and erratic, intensified by thunderstorms and wind. Spain is currently in the grip of a record-breaking heat wave, with June being the hottest on record. Meanwhile, Hurricane Flossie has intensified to a Category 2 storm and is strengthening off Mexico's southwestern coast, spinning with sustained winds of 175 kilometers per hour. Satellite images show a well-defined eye forming, signaling further intensification. Heat haze radiated over Paris landmarks, including the Eiffel Tower, as the French capital sweltered under a heat wave with temperatures nearing 40 degrees Celsius, triggering health alerts. Far to the south, Argentina is facing the opposite extreme. Buenos Aires saw sub-zero temperatures as a polar wave swept across the region, blanketing cars and grass with frost and sending icy vapors into the air. It is the coldest day of the week, with forecasts predicting even colder mornings to come. Meanwhile, in Colombia, heavy rains caused the Guariba and Ocoa rivers to overflow, leading to deadly floods and landslides. 1 person died, homes were destroyed and drinking water services disrupted. The region grapples with one of its worst flood events this year. And on to sports news now. India's opening batter Yashasvi Jaiswal fell short of his second century of the series on the first day of the second test against England at Edgbaston on Wednesday. After lunch, Jaiswal and skipper Shubman Gill steadily built a partnership before England skipper Ben Stokes made the breakthrough. They added over 66 runs for the third wicket before Jaiswal fell for 87 runs. Then Gill and wicketkeeper batter Rishabh Pant took visitors over 200 runs. Earlier, India lost opener KL Rahul cheaply, while Karun Nair fell for 31 just before lunch. Nair shared an 80-run partnership with Jaiswal. And in tennis, top seed Arna Sabalenka outclassed Mary Boskova 7-6, 6-4 to reach the third round of Wimbledon on Wednesday. The 3-times Grand Slam champion from Belarus, who has a golden chance to claim her first Wimbledon title with several seeds losing early, led the tie-break after a couple of errors from Boskova and wrapped up the first set with a forehand winner. An untimely error by Boskova gifted Sabalenka the break in the 5th game of the second set, and there was no looking back from there, with the twice semi-finalist holding firm to close out the win. Madison Keys eased past Olga Danilovic 6-4, 6-2 to reach the Wimbledon third round. The Australian Open champion is on the hunt for further Grand Slam glory at the All England Club and could become the first woman since the great Serena Williams to win those two majors in the same season. Next up for Keys is a match against Germany's Laura Siegemund. Musicians played the song Jai Ho as they welcomed Prime Minister Narendra Modi in Ghana. Listen in. Remember, we are getting you updates from Prime Minister Modi's visit to Ghana. Devotees from all corners of Gauteng attended the Rath Yatra festival at the Baps Hindu Mandir, Johannesburg in North Riding. The Rath Yatra is an integral part of the Indian religious calendar and is celebrated mainly in Odisha but also throughout the Indian subcontinent. The festival has been celebrated every year since the time of Bhagwan Swaminarayan at all Baps temples around the world. At Baps Hindu Mandir, Johannesburg, devotees from different linguistic groups came together to celebrate the Rath Yatra. And that's all in this edition of DD India News Hour. Do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. Connect with us on our different social media handles at DD India Live. And you can also download our DD India mobile app for quick news and updates on the go. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Tanvi Taneja. From all of us here in New Delhi, thank you for watching. Namaskar.